Calling to order the Municipality of Monroeville's regular council meeting for August 9th, 2022. It is approximately 7:10 p.m. If we'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Roll call, please.
Mayor Grieslock?
Here.
Mr. Hizzy?
Here.
Mr. Poach?
Here.
Mr. Stevenson?
Here.
Mr. Wolfram? Mr. Adams?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Biondo?
Here.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mr. Ratcher?
Here.
Ms. Rock?
Here.
Mr. Hugus?
Here.
Mr. Sedlak?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here.
Good evening and welcome. We have some very special guests here today. We've always been very proud of our emergency management here in Monroeville, and that's from the top down, and that was certainly showcased here in these council chambers last month in July, where we had an incident with a resident who became unconscious and was saved by two of our individuals that are with us this evening, Councilman Poach and our Police Chief Doug Cole. So here this evening, I'm joined by our State Representative Brandon Markozik. I'm writing into the record a Monroeville proclamation, and Representative Markozik has a citation from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania stating the same about commending the life-saving actions of Councilman Poach and Police Chief Cole. And I'm going to read the Monroeville proclamation into the record. This is a proclamation of the Honorable Nicholas J. Grieslock, Mayor of the Municipality of Monroeville, Pennsylvania, recognizing the life-saving actions of Councilman Eric Poach and Police Chief Doug Cole. Whereas on Thursday, July 7th, 2022, the Municipality of Monroeville was holding their monthly Public Citizens Night and agenda-setting meeting, and whereas a resident was calmly addressing council with a municipal concern on behalf of his entire neighborhood, and whereas the resident fell to the floor near the podium, and whereas Councilman Poach quickly responded to the resident and determined that he was experiencing a sudden cardiac arrest, and whereas at the same time Chief Cole immediately retrieved an AED, which is an automated external defibrillator, and arrived at the scene. And whereas after both connected the AED and it delivered a shock to the unconscious resident, Councilman Poach began CPR and provided chest compressions until a second shock was delivered. And whereas at that time, the resident began to regain consciousness. And whereas numerous EMS personnel arrived at the scene and transported the resident to AHN Forbes Hospital, and whereas the resident was treated, underwent a procedure, and was discharged in a few days in good health and spirits. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Nicholas J. Grieslock, Monroeville Mayor, commend Councilman Eric Poach and Police Chief Doug Cole on their life-saving actions that evening, along with every emergency management and healthcare provider involved, and extend deep gratitude for their ongoing service to the community. And gentlemen, if you could please join us up here. Mr. Poach, if you could join them on the floor. And we certainly are honoring Mr. Poach and Mr. Cole, but we certainly have a very special guest in Mr. Sheets and his wife Darlene. And we're so happy to have him here this evening. And I'm signing this proclamation into the record, August 9th, 2022.
Entire crew to slide a little more this way. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you.
I think that's your.
That wasn't exactly me.
Oh, that
Thank you.
was close enough.
I appreciate it. I'll take the credit. I'll take the credit. Yes, please, please.
We get the house. I'll leave it in the room.
should show us defibrillator.
Actually, we can just have the three of you gentlemen for a moment. If you don't mind, just quickly. Yes, I'm just gonna try and get Mr. Sheets with these two gentlemen just for a moment,
Sure.
and then I will get out of your way.
You should show you.
All right, you ready?
Happy Sam.
1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
All right.
We didn't ask you to talk tonight.
Who's that? Bug?
So I got one from Jeff.
You should have one from Jeff.
I got one from you twice.
Yeah. Goodness.
Well, Councilman Poach and Chief Cole, they certainly don't want the recognition, but they're going to get it anyway, and they definitely deserve it, absolutely. So thank you very much for everything you do for the community. Representative Markozik, thank you for coming out this evening. We really appreciate it. And Mr. and Mrs. Sheets, great to see you. So happy that you're here this evening.
Thank you.
So are they. And on the agenda, it's not on the agenda actually, but we do have we have so many guests this evening. We have Ernie Groover here from the Monroeville Foundation. Just want to make a comment about Community Day.
Yes. Well, actually, he gave me 4 minutes, and I'll use all 4 of those minutes. You know, I was just watching that presentation, and I want to say, you know, it's really a privilege to live and work in a community where there's such great amenities, great hospitals, and great people on our council. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be the president of the Monroeville Foundation. You know, we have 3 events each year, and a couple weeks ago, we just had our Monroeville Community Day, and I think that's our 4th annual Community Day. A lot of the smaller municipalities have community days, and we drew about 2,500 people to the Community Day, and I think everyone had a great time. I don't know if you've seen the video that the municipality put together. I mean, it's really, really phenomenal. I just pulled it up on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, if you're watching this on TV, pull it up on the municipal YouTube channel. It's really a nice thing to watch. So thank you for all the municipal employees who helped us. A lot of them worked off hours to make this event happen because it was on a Saturday. And we really, really appreciate everything that you've done and that they've done to make that a successful event. We've got 2 more events coming up, and we certainly look for your support on that. The first one is the Monroeville Jazz Festival. I believe it's the 17th annual Monroeville Jazz Festival, but I think it's our 4th or 5th year hosting the Jazz Festival. It's one of the best events in the Pittsburgh area. And, you know, whether you're a fan of jazz or not, it's a fantastic group of people. We have people coming from 2 years old up to 100. They come in wheelchairs. They're black, white, Oriental, Chinese, whatever it may be. It's just a nice affair. We just pray for good weather. And I think everyone will really be entertained. If any of you would like to, if any of you come and attend, in particular Mayor Griesbach, there's a rumor going around that the mayor of Pittsburgh may be there, and we could show him how we do things here in Monroeville. So I know they have a much bigger jazz festival, but I think we have a top-rated jazz festival as well. Last thing I'll impart with you is that on September 12th, we have our golf outing, and it's getting bigger and bigger. Hopefully, we have some golfers here in the room. If you're not here in the room, hopefully on TV land, if you'll come out and support our golf outing, we really, truly appreciate it. September 12th at Meadowwing Golf Course. Once again, thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Groover.
Ernie.
We appreciate everything you do.
I'll get you 2 or 3, Ernie.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to open up the floor for public comment on proposed agenda items only. This period is only if there is an item on the agenda. Once we get through the regular meeting, at the end of this meeting, there will be another public comment period for any municipal item. So this period is only for items that are on the agenda. Is there anyone that would like to address council? Seeing none. Moving on with the meeting, we have an executive session announcement that council conducted an executive session before the council meeting this evening on Tuesday, August 9th, 2022, from 6:15 to approximately 7 p.m. for personnel and litigation reasons. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at the Tuesday, August 9th council meeting this evening. Council, moving over to the minutes for your approval, we have the Capital Improvement Program budget hearing of May 19th, 2022, the Citizens Night meeting of July 7th, 2022, the council agenda setting meeting of July 7th, 2022, and the regular council meeting of July 12th, 2022. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, we do have a motion and a second to approve. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hizzy.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Adams.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Biondo.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Reports of our tax collections. Looking for a motion to approve them.
motion.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Biondo.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Adams.
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mr. Hizzy.
Aye.
The ayes have it. List of bills and budget transfers. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Questions or comments, council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hizzy.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Adams.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Biondo.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And the payroll report. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biondo.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Adams.
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mr. Hizzy.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And all these items were in front of council at Thursday's August 4th agenda setting meeting. Council, moving over to our vacancies on boards, commissions, and authorities. It's in the blue section of your agenda. Mr. Hizzy, do you have anything this evening?
None.
Mr. Poach?
No.
Mr. Stevenson?
Yes, I would like to nominate John Paulslawski for the Civil Service Commission.
So that is a nomination. Very good.
Second.
Anything else?
Yes, I would also just like to speak to whoever's watching this and urge you to come in and talk to the manager about some of these board openings. We have a lot of them, and we need people that want to help other people in this community, and that's how you do it. So please try to do that. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Adams?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Mr. Williams?
Nothing.
Mr. Biondo?
Nothing.
Very good, thank you. Moving over to our consent agenda, we have one item, new business 22-1-Z Law Funeral Home. Mr. Little.
Yeah, excuse me, applicant is requesting to rezone a portion of tax parcel 857M195 that is currently zone R1, single-family residential, to C2 business commercial. The total area of the property is 4.411 acres. The property is located at 2555 Haymaker Road. The Planning Commission recommended approval with condition. However, the applicant is requesting tabling until the September council meeting, and as I mentioned at the agenda setting meeting, there is a letter in your packet requesting the tabling of the rezoning.
So is there a motion to table?
Motion to table.
Second.
No further discussion. There is a motion, a second to table this item. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biondo.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Adams.
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mr. Hizzy.
Aye.
The ayes have it, that item is tabled. Moving over to our motions, council, we have two this evening.
Yeah, two motions are resignations. Motion to accept the resignation of Ed Lukowitz from the Police Civil Service Commission. Ed is moving from the community.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hizzy.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Adams.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Biondo.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Next item, Mr. Little.
Yeah, motion to accept the resignation of Dr. Dennis McDaniel from Ward 2 position on the library board.
Regrettably, make motion to accept his resignation.
Motion second to accept the resignation. Any questions or comments?
Again, regrettably, Dr. McDaniel was served terrifically, and he'll be sorely missed.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there is a motion second to approve. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Moving over to our resolutions. Mr. Little.
Okay, first one is a resolution approving the disposition of records as set forth in the Municipal Records Manual and for the disposition of certain equipment. As I mentioned to council during the agenda-setting meeting, there are 2 vehicles on there that are not worth putting on gov deals, and also some cabinets, and we showed pictures up on the monitor. And council, just through discussion, agreed to keep that on there, and that resolution would dispose of those assets that are under $2,000 as per the Borough Code.
Motion to accept everything on the list.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
The ayes have it. We have another resolution that is not on the agenda, but we discussed at our Thursday work session, and this was a resolution to change the agenda-setting meeting, or the work session meeting, Citizens Night, these are all the same thing we're talking about. So currently, the regular council meeting is always the second Tuesday of the month, and then the agenda-setting meeting, when we talk about what's going to be at the council meeting, is on the prior Thursday. So that's always how it's been done. So it'd be Thursday, and then the Tuesday. But there's some discussion through council, and we discussed this on Thursday, that it makes it better for everybody if our agenda-setting meeting is on the first Tuesday of the month, and then the regular council meeting is on the second Tuesday of the month, for multiple reasons. It gives staff more time. If something's discussed on a Thursday, if someone wants a report or something, staff has more time to get this together over the course of a week. If there's an item that's brought up that it involves the community, it gives enough time for residents to hear about it, understand, to make plans to get to that meeting a week later. And also, too, I think it also allows just for it's easier to remember the dates. Okay, first Tuesday, second Tuesday, instead of trying to second Tuesday, and then it's the Thursday after the second Tuesday. It gets a little tangled up. So council decided that we would put this, consider this resolution to do that. So what I'm looking for right now is for someone to make a motion to place this resolution on tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to place it on the agenda tonight.
Okay, so, motion is second, so this is just to place this motion on the agenda. So is there a roll call for that, please?
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
The ayes have it. So now that this resolution is on the agenda, I already talked about it enough, is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We motion is second to approve this item. Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Biondo?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And then this would take place for the next month's meeting for September, Mr. Little?
Correct, that is correct.
Now, with that, we have some advertising requirements, so this is another.
That's correct.
We'd have to make another motion second just to advertise this for the remainder of the year.
Authorize the advertisement.
Yes, and certainly this will be on, TV 15, our website, once the new website's up and running. So this is to authorize to advertise the change. Is there a motion
So
for that?
do we have to also move to amend the agenda again to add that, or have we already done that by, what's the proper procedure, I guess, is the question I'm asking.
This last amendment will take care of it all.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
make a motion to advertise.
Second.
So motion second to advertise. Questions or comments? Mr. Little, do you have a?
No, I was just gonna say that due to the fact that you've made the change, coupled with that, you have to advertise it anyway. So I think the motion to put this on there takes care of that, I would.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion and a second to provide the advertising for this change. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And I think it's a good change for the community. I think it benefits council, it benefits the staff, it benefits the residents. I think it's a no-brainer. So, and it's always at the pleasure of council if they want to change it to a different date or change it back, but we will start this in September.
So for the benefit of our press lady that is here tonight, our agenda-setting meeting and Citizens Night will be September the 6th, Tuesday, same time, 7 o'clock, not September the 8th.
Gotcha.
Okay? All right.
Great, thank you. And those are all the resolutions we have this evening. Moving over to reports of municipal staff. Mr. Ratcher, do you have anything this evening?
Nothing, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Little?
Yeah, I have 2 items on my agenda, but before that, I put a council, I gave you copies of 3 invoices, and I just wanted to bring this to your attention because we're going through a capital improvement program. There's twofold why I brought this to your attention. Mr. Yugas and I had a little meeting today, and he gave these to me. Of course, I knew about them. He sent it to me last Friday. These are from Tootie Mechanical, the same people that are putting the HVAC, 14 HVAC units up on the roof. One is for a center ductless system, and that is to provide air conditioning and HVAC if our power goes out in the dispatch center. Right now, if the power goes out in the dispatch center, they don't have any HVAC in the dispatch center. When we were down and we had our generator running out there about 6 weeks ago because we lost power due to something happened with Comcast, it wasn't internally, they did not have any HVAC. So I've already signed this. I think it's, and I think you would agree with me that we need to move ahead with that. If you don't, let me know. Second one is the boiler. There's 2 boilers in the library. One, and just to digress a little bit, the 2 boilers down there have been put together with Band-Aid and chewing gum for the last 10, 12, 13 years. It's a different kind of system, and the one boiler finally just went on its last leg. So if we don't get a boiler for there, they may not have heat for the winter, and it's gonna take how long to come in, Paul?
4 months.
4 months. And that is to the tune of $48,850. And I've already signed that for Tootie to move ahead. These are all on CoStar, so they would not have to be sealed bid. But the other one that came since we were doing that I have on there is for the HVAC units down at the Senior Citizen Center. Now, since the director down there, Tara Griesok, already has this in her capital improvement program, I thought I'd bring this to your attention anyway. I can sign this, no problem, we can move ahead with it, or do you want to wait for the capital improvement program to move ahead to replace? There's nothing totally as serious as the library and the duct system we need at the dispatch center, but we can move ahead with this too.
Wasn't there extended, Paul, will this also be affected by the extended delivery?
That's correct.
So in other
And
words,
the library is very similar to this building, and it's antiquated system, it's an antiquated HVAC and control system, and it's a long lead time for.
Isn't this where if people don't have a place to go and need air conditioning or heat, isn't this where
It's
they
the
go?
heating and cooling center in case of an emergency.
So
Yes.
we need to move
Yep.
forward with this.
that was going to be my exact point, it's in our plan to do. So,
Well,
yeah,
especially since there's such a long lead time.
Yeah.
If they would go out in the next couple months.
Yeah,
Right,
Okay,
so yeah.
all right.
right.
And just to, I mean, these types of expenses, they're pretty big expenses. They come up periodically when something goes out.
Yeah.
You just got to get it. And that's the cost of running a railroad.
Well, do we have the 222,000 that would cover?
Yeah, we have it, right, Josie?
Link
We
it.
have it.
That's all we-
It's,
Good.
it gets bigger, it gets smaller, it gets bigger, it gets smaller.
Yeah, that's why we have a savings account. That's why households have savings accounts, hopefully. And then, but thankfully, though, we are working on a capital improvement budget as well on top of this with a different source of funding, so.
And as Tim says, there's wants and there's needs.
And this is a need.
Yeah, these are, I think these are definitely needs.
Yeah, the boiler's from 1965, it's a need, yeah.
Tim, on that, I guess this is for Doug. Doug, on this HVAC for downstairs, the dispatcher, will that cool off the, where we have all our electronics over here too, or do we have to?
No.
You want me to answer that? All right, so the original system that was installed, the dispatch center was obviously where the cog office was. Adjacent to that's just what we call the server room. So that system already works off of the emergency generator. When the dispatch was moved downstairs, it was not programmed to have a standalone HVAC system. Therefore, when you're on emergency power, it doesn't operate.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Little, want to move on with your report?
Yeah, as Mr. Groover said, Jazz Festival is Saturday, September the 3rd, at 2 o'clock till dusk, Tall Trees Amphitheater. And number 2 is we have a household hazardous waste and electronic collection event, August 20th, actually, from 9 to 1. Actually, it's going to be in the Boyce Park Ski Parking Lodge by the Pennsylvania Resources Council. And one other item I got from the county today, and council has a copy of this. The closure of Wilmerding and Monroeville Road, Patton Street, is moved to August the 22nd due to inclement weather. Okay, so they're going to be starting on that the 22nd at 9 a.m. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Mr. Hugus, do you have anything this evening?
I do have one item. A recent development with our road paving, our road resurfacing program. The municipal authority has to replace a water line in the Caruso plan, specifically on Caruso Drive and Thomas Street. I talked to Councilman Adams, because that's his ward, and also Tim. With this occurring, and it's going to start probably next week. It's take about 6 weeks to accomplish. We had planned to chip seal that whole community, that little community. I'm saying we take it off until next year, because there's no reasoning of doing it, and them replacing a water line and damaging what we've just done, because we're gonna be starting with it next week or two. So I would recommend we just not do it this year and do it next year.
I agree.
Yeah, in 6 weeks, we're cutting close to where
Yeah,
that would be feasible
I
to
mean,
do.
6 weeks, if they start next week, 6 weeks puts you in September. You do not want to chip seal in October.
Right.
That's not a good idea. So we'll do some more preventive maintenance in the whole plan, just to hold us over till next year.
Very good. We're good. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Hugus?
That is it. Thank you.
Ms. Rock, anything?
I do not have anything.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to open the floor for public comment on any municipal item. If there's any resident here that'd like to comment or address council, now would be your time to do it. We always ask for you to keep your comments to 5 minutes. Hopefully that's enough time for you to get your point across and for us to keep the meeting moving along. So if there's anyone from the community that'd like to address council, now would be your time.
I was just wondering if there's been any response from PennDOT as to the traffic study for the traffic signal at Berkeley Way and
You're
Northern
looking at me, you
Pike.
should probably look at Tim, because he wrote the email.
Yeah, we're still waiting to hear back and looking at all the options. But
So you
nothing-
haven't heard back
There's
from
not a
PennDOT yet?
concrete decision yet by any means, no.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Just
Thank you.
typically PennDOT will tell you that it's a 6 to 8 week process to do the study.
I'll leave the floor open for anyone who'd like to address council.
Hi, just one question. When we have a sewage drain, the sewage drains that are in some of the properties, who maintenances that around the sewage drain? Is the homeowner?
Sewage or stormwater?
What's that?
Sewage or stormwater?
Sewage, not stormwater, sewage.
Sewage would be the water authority, municipal authority.
So that's the water authority. So if we have any issues with it, like the area around it, because it's like falling away and the concrete bell is becoming exposed and
Call the
everything.
water department, they'll come and fix it.
We call them and they'll come out and check it out.
Right.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thanks.
Great. And for you to sign in too.
Yeah.
And we'll get the other two to sign in after the meeting. We'll get your signatures.
You could state your name.
And state your name, please.
My name is Daniel Beggs. I am from 158 Jameson Lane.
Thank you.
This is just a follow-up on from the DCI, the water coming off the retention area, going through the pipes and everything, and then the spillover that actually would come down between my property and 160 Jameson Lane. I was wondering if anything had been brought back from the environmental group as far as what might be
I'm not following your question, sir.
So the sewer area that was just mentioned, there was an erosion, land has been being undercut and pulled away, a retaining wall has fallen over. And so I was just wondering if there was anything that was planned or looked at, because the cap was taken off, and then they said the cap was being put back on up further toward DCI area.
Well, we need to clarify, that's stormwater?
That is an overflow of stormwater.
Okay, it's
That
not sewer.
may be yes, exactly. That is affecting where the sewer lines run.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the confusion, is the sewer area is being
Washed away.
washed away, yes. So we need to talk to the sewer people, which Kim just talked about, but we're wondering if there's anything that needs to be done or what will be done to make sure that we don't have the water coming through, the storm water overflowing so that it washes it away again after. You understand how I'm trying to
Okay.
connect?
Has the stormwater overflown? Has the stormwater been contained in the conveyance system, or is it overflowing?
Oh, it still overflows.
It's
This
still
last hard rain, yeah, it sort of overflowed again.
Okay.
It wasn't disastrous, but it is overflowing still. So there is still a problem. And we haven't had really heavy, long rains, but we are getting to that area in the season where that may be of a concern. So I just wanted to know, where it stands, that's all.
Understood.
Thank you. And I'll leave the floor open for anyone who'd like to address council on any municipal item. And just for the minutes, it was Darlene Sheets that went first and Kim Krivda. I didn't get their names at the onset.
I appreciate that.
Well, we know them.
You do.
Okay, we're going to close the public comment period and move over to reports of our council members.
I have
Mr.
nothing,
Hizzy.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Poach.
Thank you for totally inappropriate commendations for that. Nothing else. Glad to see you folks here. And that's all for this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson.
I would just like to reiterate that we need people to come forward and apply for our board positions and help the community out. Thank you, Mayor, that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Adams.
I'd like to say, well-deserved proclamation for Councilman Poach and Doug. And so happy to see you're fine, Mr. Sheets.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Williams.
I want to congratulate Mr. Sheets on his recovery back to health. Good to see you here tonight. Thoughts and prayers go out to Steve Wolfram as he takes care of his father's affairs as he had passed away. Congratulations to Doug Cole and Eric for their, I won't say heroic, but the way they was trained to step and do things without even thinking about themselves. It was good to see. Thank you. And the other thing is, there's a bin in the police station lobby that anybody can put unwanted drugs on, and put it in that box, and the police will see that they're taken care of properly. So that's been there for a while, and just with this other thing coming up with hazardous materials, that's only for medicine, and you put it in that bin, and it'll be taken care of. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Biondo.
Yeah, I'd just echo everything Mike and Mr. Williams just said. Welcome back, Mr. Sheets. Good to see you. I also would just put a quick plug in for the YouTube channel. Mr. Groover made me think about it. They do have put great videos up. There was a very nice video for Monroeville Night Out and the Community Days. Jared and everybody at the Monroeville TV does a great job. Monroeville TV YouTube channel is great. If you're watching this live, you can watch all the council meetings, planning commission meetings, zoning hearing board meetings. It really is, the YouTube channel is great. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and I'll just echo everything here. Mr. Poach, Chief Cole, great job. Representative Markozik, thank you for joining us this evening. We really appreciate you coming out and commending these two gentlemen. Mr. Sheets, we're really happy to see you and look forward to seeing you again very soon. Great. And with that, I want to seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you and good night.